Welcome back, and now it's time to learn about a unique initiative to raise the public awareness about the importance of the overpopulation in Egypt and how to control the population growth, and also to address a lot of the important social issues. And the initiative is entitled Crossing Egypt Challenge. It kicked off on the 16th of January and it will continue till the 8th of February. It's under the auspice of the United Nations, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, as well as the Norwegian Embassy as well. And there are so many universities and youth participating in it. It started from Aswan. It's a walking crossing of Egypt throughout the different governorates, and during that type of marathon they're also holding meetings with youth and discussing with them some of the most important issues concerning the Egyptian society. And I'm happy to have with me Ms. Germaine Haddad. She's the assistant representative of the United Nations Population Fund in Egypt, also Nihal Said, and she is the youth program analyst. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies, and we'll start with Ms. Nihal. Ms. Nihal, could you elaborate about the initiative, how it was launched, how did you get the idea, and who launched that initiative at first?
Okay, good morning everyone. So the initiative Crossing Egypt Challenge, it's a unique initiative where we combine sports with development. We have 4 young men and women. They are crossing Egypt from Aswan to Cairo in 24 days. On average, every day they walk about 42 kilometers to 45 kilometers. It's a huge sort of sports and physical effort. And this is for the aim of raising awareness about the challenging population growth that Egypt is going through, and that young people, they can go through the impossible and they can help us overcome this population challenge, which could be in some sense interpreted as an impossible challenge for Egypt to overcome in order to reach sustainable development. So this initiative, we launched it as the United Nations Population Fund in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, they have sort of enriched the initiative through having activations at youth centers along these 9 governorates that we're passing by from Aswan to Cairo. We have activations at youth centers where we utilize sports activities and as well games in order to raise people's awareness about the challenges of population growth, the different indicators for each governorate we're passing by, the different social issues associated with this overpopulation, issues such as gender-based violence and the violence against girls, in social problems such as female genital mutilation that is very prevalent across Egypt, as well as the rising problem or sort of increasing problem of child marriage that is still socially acceptable. So we utilize these sort of entertainment and interactive techniques in order to raise awareness about the population issue and its interrelated factors, as well as besides that we have teams that join those 4 young athletes from physical education universities across all these governorates, where they for one day they run with them and they as well collaborate with them in the sort of raising awareness activities. In addition to that, we have partners such as the Egyptian Red Crescent that is sort of securing the way with us. We have the intervention teams of the Egyptian Red Crescent. They're walking with the young people. In case of any emergency happens, they can intervene and mitigate. In addition to that, we have as well different collaborators. UNFPA, we have a very innovative program, which is the Youth Peer Education Program. It's a network that we have in 27 governorates. And the volunteers of this network as well, they collaborate with us in organizing the activities. And as well, this campaign featured a very interesting collaboration of the private sector. We have private sector sports companies that as well sponsored the gear of the athletes and so forth. So it's a comprehensive program, and we're all working together to raise awareness about the issue.
Initiative as well.
Yes. Mrs. Haddad, now what about the initiative itself, the target of it, and how can it raise the youth awareness when it comes to population growth?
Well, as you know, Egypt has reached a population of 94.8 million. And the majority of, 62% of this population is below the age of 29. So we are betting that the young people are the agents for change. Therefore, we are making the youth themselves lead this transformation. They are the ones that are transferring the knowledge through this challenge. So when you want that the youth are leading the transformation, you have to speak the language they understand. So sports is a way of getting more youth interested, getting more youth around them, to transfer this knowledge, to get them moving from a governorate to another through this challenge, is making other youth question why are you doing so, and listening to them, and them themselves transferring the knowledge. It's very important that they get the feeling of ownership, that they understand that in Egypt currently the pyramid, population pyramid, and the age structure of the population is giving them an opportunity that maybe has not happened before. We are at the verge of what we call a demographic dividend, which in simple words means that given that the fact that the age structure is young in Egypt, and there is a young bulge, which is huge, meaning that if these youth are empowered, they are generating income, they are working, the dependency rate will decrease, and Egypt can witness an economic development. But for them to do so, we have to invest in youth. We have to raise their awareness. They have to know, and they have to be empowered, skilled, to be employed, and also to acknowledge the importance of dropping the fertility rates and maintaining it at a certain point that will make them benefit from this demographic dividend. So we're thinking that these youth, when they have this understanding, this level of awareness, they are the best tool and channels to transfer it to other peers and youth. Therefore, we think it's a very important challenge and initiative to transfer information to really make a difference.
Still with Ms. Haddad, part of increasing the awareness of the youth about the importance of decreasing the population growth in Egypt is increasing the awareness about the reproductive health. How can we do that?
We are doing that through many channels. Firstly, maybe the previous policy or the way the focus was only on service provision, that reproductive health and services are the key. It is, of course, services and counseling is very important, but the awareness early on, even at the age when they are young, they are the parents of the future. So it's very important that this knowledge is integrated in their education, in the sports, in the extracurricular activities they do in youth centers. So this is the change, or the change in strategy that is currently we are witnessing with the government. They're welcoming the idea of integrating this knowledge through various channels and activities that do attract youth.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Now, what about the educational programs that are being undertaken by the United Nations Population Fund to be able to educate the families about the proper family size, as well as how can that enhance the development of Egypt?
Firstly, maybe I'll start, and my colleague Nihal can also add to this. We don't promote a specific size of family, but we just raise the awareness of youth on the importance that they get socialized early on the benefits of a small size family, that where the parents can provide economically and also the proper care to children. It's important that they embrace this idea early on. We don't impose a specific size because It's again,
It's the liberty of the person.
we are just
But
making,
it's advising.
it's advising them to know and to make informative choices. Yes.
And as for like the educational programs, as Germaine mentioned, we try to speak to young people. So it's not that we preach them, and it's not that we sort of educate them in like a school format. We try to use interactive techniques in order to raise their awareness and let them think about these issues that we take for granted. Let them think that it's not really the norm for me to get married and then have children and to have several children after each other without thinking about the reproductive health aspect and without thinking about the health of the mother and birth spacing and the different issues that we talk about. Let them as well debate these social problems that we see in the society and we do not talk about and we do not acknowledge. Practices that are being sort of done against young girls as female genital mutilation that do not have any base in religion or in science or anything. Other things like child marriage. Let them as well sort of acknowledge as they're going through sort of they go through physical and psychological changes, and if these changes, if they don't have someone sort of to accept them and to acknowledge these changes and understand them and speak to them with scientific facts and open up to them, they may go through risky practices and risky habits that could have sort of health implications on them. So we raise their awareness through different techniques. We use theater and drama techniques, we use sports, we use interactive games, role plays. So all these different techniques to raise their awareness and to educate them. And we do this in different settings. So either at schools or at youth centers. Sometimes we do it at primary health centers where we have trained physicians and nurses on youth-friendly health services. So yeah, we do it in a variety.
Ms. Haddad, what are the strategies that the government now is following and adopting to curb the excess population growth as it hinders the sustainable development in the country?
Well, as I spoke before, the approach is relatively new. It's not only about counseling and health services, family planning services. It starts much earlier to change the
mindset.
Change the norms around the beauty of and how romantic it is to have a big family versus having a practical, modern family that is smaller in size, but where the children are getting more benefits, more care from the parents. And the whole idea also, there is focus, as there is focus on youth, there is also focus on women and young women. Because definitely there is inequalities that has been over the years.
Yes, indeed.
So we ensure that programs that to combat gender-based violence and harmful practices such as female genital mutilation, early marriage, are very important because if the woman is not protected and is able to make an independent choice, then we cannot assume that there will be equality in the choice, there will be freedom, and the women will be able to really make informed choices. So bringing women to this level of equality is very important to ensure that they enjoy good reproductive health.
Indeed. Yes.
Now, in the countryside and in the rural areas, they tend to like large family size and members, because what they do is they send the children to work. So for them, the children is the source of the livelihood. And sometimes even the parents would stay at home and then they send off several children, off they go and they start helping out and bringing the money in. So how can we address them in a way that would convince them if the children are the earners and bring the ones who put the bread on the table?
Well, it's very important to also think in terms of population, not only in absolute numbers, but in the quality and the characteristics of this population. Having a population that is educated, that lives, enjoys a certain
acceptable standard of living.
Exactly, is important to push Egypt also to advance. Again, it's very important to make people aware that we have to a big extent transformed from a purely agricultural economy to a more industrial and so on. So people need to realize I need to skill my children to get a better employment in the future. And by having many children, I'll not be able to do so. So again, appealing to the various, that's why community awareness is very important. It's very important that you go down to people because the people that you need to reach are not the ones that attend seminars and so on.
Exactly.
So that's why our initiative here with the youth is
Going to the people.
it's going to the people. It's them traveling and people questioning why are these young brave men and women doing this challenge. And they stop in every governorate, in a youth center, or in let's say any of the NGOs or civil society to talk to the people. And it's very important when the message is coming from a young person to another peer young person.
That he accepts.
Exactly. And it's not those who know more are preaching others.
Yeah.
It's very important also that they have this engagement from the local communities, from the youth centers running with them. At each governorate, they are joined by a group that do the challenge and the run with them.
So those who are running and doing the awareness, were they given certain workshops on what to say, and how long did the training last?
Yes, definitely there was a long training for them to understand the messages, to understand the issues. Again, they are very brave young people who are enthusiastic to help their country and do something, but their awareness of the issues and messages needed to be enhanced, and I think you can give more details about the workshops that happened.
Yes. So we had sort of about 4 months we were engaging with those athletes on orienting them about the United Nations Population Fund core issues and the different issues that they face in different governorates and the issues of concern for young people. In addition to that, we conducted some kind of a training of trainers on the different techniques to be utilized at youth centers. Using sort of games such as the treasure hunt technique. So we educated them on how to use this technique and formulate messages on our issues and sort of small riddles, so questions in these games that would sort of make the whole group discuss the issue, and at the same time they are engaging in a competitive game, and every team is trying to win and so forth, and to find the treasure itself.
Yeah.
So we used these sorts of trainings. In addition to that, we had the trainers of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We already trained them throughout last year on population issue, reproductive health, and the different issues of concern for young people. So they are sort of our key players at the youth centers, alongside with the volunteers that we work with.
Indeed. Ms. Haddad, what other initiatives the UN is making here in order to tackle that very important issue of population growth in Egypt?
Well, we have other initiatives, of course, that are more of programmatic. Not all of them are activity-oriented in a way that, like, the youth component maybe has a lot of innovation. Other programs are more geared towards improving reproductive health services and counseling and expanding services. Other programs are to combat gender-based violence through campaigns, community awareness, as well as working with line ministries to provide protection, response to victims of violence. As I'm wearing,
Yeah, I was
Marbuta is one of the initiatives we've worked on with the National Council for Women as well, and it has been very successful and embraced by Egyptian women as their really like pride that being a woman will not confine me, or the Ta' Marbuta will not confine them, and they have so much potential that they can achieve in life. So we do have the arms of working on these programs with line ministries to really enhance their services and channels and to integrate the messages through them, as well as these innovation and techniques of campaigning, talking to the community more.
Hopefully, we wish you all the success, Ms. Germaine. Ms. Germaine Haddad, the Assistant Representative of the United Nations Population Fund in Egypt, and Ms. Nihal Said, Youth Program Analyst. Thank you very much.
Thank you for hosting us. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Breakfast Show. But first of all, I'd like to thank my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rasha. And with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of the Breakfast Show. Till tomorrow with another quiz. Goodbye.